Welcome to Sam Houston Memorial Museum. Today we are going to discuss an important historic skill, and that is how to start a fire. Today we're in Eliza's kitchen, and pretty much most of the time there would have been a fire going in this building, cooking and preparing food here on the Houston farm. So what we're going to discuss today is how you start a fire. And again, a very important historic skill, something that you would have done every day most likely, even if it's not cold to stay warm, but you would have a fire going to heat your water, clean your clothes, cook your food, etc. So what we'll do is we're going to go step by step and show you how to make that happen. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to collect all of the supplies you're going to need before you strike that first match, or before you strike that first spark if you're using flint and steel. So it's taken me 15 or 20 minutes to collect the supplies that I will use to start this fire for you today. Now the goal is, or I guess the problem that some people will have at home if you're not used to starting a fire on a regular basis, is you try to burn wood that's too big with the first match. So if you go and you strike a match to this piece of wood right here, these pieces of wood, you're going to have a really hard time getting those to burn. However, if you start on this end and you catch your tinder on fire, and then you catch your kindling on fire, and then you catch your fuel on fire, you're going to be able to have a successful fire to stay warm, cook your food, etc., etc., etc. So I'm going to put a couple of different styles of fires together for you to build, give you an option, and we'll go from there. So the first type of fire that we'll build is called a log cabin fire, and you'll see why. It'll be self-explanatory once I get the parts all up and running here. Basically what you're trying to do is build like a log cabin, just like the Lincoln logs that I played with when I was a kid, way back when. Now the good part about a log cabin fire like this is, as you can see, it allows lots of air ventilation to go through the different pieces of wood to encourage the fire to grow bigger and faster. I would take my tinder and put it inside like so, or build the fire up around the tinder to begin with, and then light the tinder and start feeding smaller pieces of wood inside it to catch the larger pieces of wood on fire. The next type of fire that I'll show you how to use is something that I probably use almost every day that I am working over a fire here at the museum, and that's what I'll call a lean-to method. So with the lean-to method, I'm going to start with a big piece of fuel like so. I will put some tinder at the base of that piece of fuel, and then start laying on top of the tinder, just like you would making a lean-to out in the woods. I'll start laying some pieces of kindling over the tinder. Now the trick here is to make sure that you maintain good ventilation, that you don't smother out the tinder once you strike a match to it. So you want to have just right the amount of wood kindling on top of the tinder. And that right there is probably not a bad start. And then what I would do once I get the tinder on fire, let it catch this wood on fire, and then start adding bigger pieces of kindling to that. So there you go, folks. We have successfully caught the larger fuel on fire. Started off with just the tinder, built up to the kindling, and then placed the fuel on top. And I can continue to progressively use bigger pieces of wood should I need more coals or more heat or more light, depending on what I was building the fire for. You may have seen on the time lapse that I was using a bellows to force air into the fire and help the fire continue to grow. Given the option between using a bellows and your lungs as far as blowing on it, pick the bellows every day. Bellows are a very efficient way of forcing air into the fire, and they make the job of starting a fire much easier. If you are out in the woods or camping or at home and you don't have a bellows, you can use pretty much anything to fan air into the fire. I like to use a hat on occasion. A large cowboy style hat will also force plenty of good air into the fire and allow you to help the fire breathe and grow. If you have any questions for us here at the museum about fire starting or anything that we're doing here at the museum in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, by all means, drop a note in the comments and we will be more than happy to respond. Otherwise, have a great day. Wash your hands, social distance. Y'all be safe.